Is there like you said that you assume you have a SPD, right?
Yeah, well, it's definitely became more than an assumption. What happened is I
Mm-hmm.
was this was going back months now, like at the start of this year. I was referred to like a psychiatric, I guess you'd say, to my local hospital, to the mental health
Ah, yeah, yeah,
unit,
I understand.
and I had two interviews with two different psychiatric nurses from the same team, and I months down the line, I finally get a phone call because I don't know what if you know anything about the health system in this country, about the NHS, but it's in absolute shambles. So even if you're waiting for a referral to like get, if you want to get an ingrown toenail removed, it takes months. Like the backlog in here is horrendous.
Oh,
So yeah, I had like 3 or 4 months in between each of my two psychiatric evaluations, but finally come around. It was September the 20th of this year. I got a call from them from one of the nurses who like assessed me,
mm-hmm.
and she said because I wrote a self-diagnostic paper after
Mm-hmm.
researching at ASPD, and because I was the more I looked into it, the more it was like describing me, and I was like, wow, I was like, I really think this might be a possibility.
Yeah.
She ended up just writing a self-diagnostic paper, and I gave a copy of this paper to the nurses. I think it was after my first appointment or my second, and I said, look, I said, this is my theory. I said, I think that this will help if you take this. And anyway, they end up ringing me up, and the nurse says to me, "Oh, she said we've conferred about you with doctors from like other teams and meetings about me, and like they've really drawn out the lengths on this and done notes and stuff." And she said, "And you do meet the diagnostic criteria for antisocial personality disorder,
Oh.
as well as being, and I quote, ever so slightly autistic." And
Oh.
I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "that doesn't surprise me." So a lot of people are autistic in all sorts
Oh
of degrees,
yeah, yeah,
but
actually
she's
they are. I just have to interrupt you there because I'm autistic as well, and my doctor
yeah,
said it
it's
just goes
with
with
me. It's
condition.
like ever so. She said the words ever so slightly, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I like to have things like in a certain order and way, but that's about it." So I don't really see that as a disorder. But
That's
yeah,
more
she said you
condition.
do meet the diagnostic criteria for ASPD, and she said we've referred you to a diagnostic team to receive like a diagnosis on paper. But because I said, so during my first appointment, the nurse said to me, if you do if we do find out that you qualify for ASPD, will you want any like cognitive behavioural therapy or any kinds of therapy for it? And I said no, because
Oh,
honestly, like I don't think that I need any therapy. Like
yeah, yeah.
because I refused the therapy, the diagnostic team rejected the hospital's application on my behalf because and they said, well, if he doesn't want therapy, then we're not going to waste our time diagnosing him because we've got such a backlog of people who are waiting to be diagnosed who want to go to therapy for all manner of
Wow.
conditions, whether it's cluster A, cluster B, or cluster C. So they don't have the time to hand out
Mm-hmm.
diagnoses to everyone who wants them. So that's why I haven't had a diagnosis on paper, but it is the professional opinion of these psychiatrists,
Yeah, yeah.
psychologists, and doctors who've examined me and taken notes, and they've talked about me and they've said, yeah, this individual, meaning me, he definitely meets the criteria for antisocial personality disorder, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's my story.
Oh yeah, okay, then I think it's like in my country you don't really have to go through therapy to be diagnosed.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, that was like, I wasn't really going through a therapy, just going through a bunch of questioning and stuff.
All right, okay. But yeah, no, over here, I have thought about ringing up because I had to ring up my GP. I had to ring up like my local practitioner doctor, and I went to him with my initial concerns, and then he referred me to the hospital, and then the hospital spent like 5 or 6 months, between two appointments, examining me
Yeah.
for an hour and a half at a time. It was very long-winded here, and I have thought about going back to the GP to say to him that I do want therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason that I'd want the therapy is to have the diagnosis on paper. I don't actually want the therapy,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I've no idea if I'll go to the therapy and they'll pick up on that. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the way that I am.
I understand that.
I think I don't know about you, but I don't see it as a problem, but everybody else does.
Like, I mean, I have other conditions, that's why I search for therapy, but I don't actually do that. That part is like I'm self-taught about it, so like mostly I'm self-taught about it. I was in some cognitive therapy, like that they taught me to connect like consequence and action, but that was about that, not much.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, connecting with other people is like obviously that's not going to happen with me. But I do understand like like I learned. I feel like I learned pretty early. When if you do things and you get caught, there's a consequence.
Yeah,
And sometimes sometimes you'll be in a situation where no matter what way you try to take out, there's always going to be a consequence. So it's
yeah,
figuring out which of the two is going to be the lesser and things like that. It's more like it's for impulse. It's in moments of impulsivity that
yes,
the logic of consequence just goes out the window.
I
And
know.
yeah, and then we always say we have the sociopaths and psychopaths. We have the power of hindsight, but it's not much use.
Like, do you use still terms like a sociopath or psychopath, or you use like antisocial?
Yeah, I do. I interchange between the two, and there's a lot of people who go, oh, you shouldn't do that,
Like,
and to be honest with me, because I
sorry.
spend sorry.
I mean, that's how I call it. It's I think it's properly. It's factor one and factor two.
Yeah, do you know what I was looking at? Because I've got a baby's mother, because I've got a son, and me and his mother get on quite well. And
Um,
I sent her, I found a thing on Google Images that was like the charts between factor one and factor two psychopathy. And this, you'll always have like traits of both, but
yes,
I
yes.
would say that I think it was, I'd have to look again because my memory's shocking. And this is just something I looked on a whim, but I think we said that definitely a factor two, if I remember correctly. But definitely more a factor two, I'm sure. I'd have to look again. But
Like,
yeah,
do you like more have symptoms of like a factor two, like sociopathy?
uh, I, well, what are they? We see. I don't have it to hand with me right now. This was a while ago. Factor two. I think factor one um, is factor one like they're more cold and calculating.
And yeah,
Yeah, I remember bits and pieces, so I couldn't say right now. Um, I can pull up. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to pull up the differences between factor one and factor two, and we can look from
I
there.
mean, you have symptoms for sure of both. It's just that you must have like more symptoms on some, like either one or two. So I'm just like, if you're more impulsive type, I think that will be indication to sociopathy.
Yeah, it's factor two here. Well, the factor one is more interpersonal and affective traits. And it says here factor two is more like your lifestyle and antisocial traits. So
Like,
like
I
in
think
factor
that
two,
uh,
like
sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, for factor two, it says here like this is a big one for me, like a need of stimulation and being
Yeah,
proneness to boredom. I'd say like that is my biggest or one of my only fears is being bored. Like I can't
yeah.
think.
Needing for
I'll really physically
stimulate,
get
like,
wound up inside. Like I can't be bored.
yeah, right, right. I know that. I know that feeling. Like, and then you can like go up a little out of control there,
Yeah,
impulsive.
you always feel like you're gonna lose your sanity just because you have nothing to do. And
Yeah, 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 and you need to do something drastic then, so it can be like, that impulsive state, and can be like that. That's not what you want, really, but yeah.
no, yeah. One thing that my baby's mother, she keeps having to remind me because I forget because now I have a son. He's a toddler at the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
like he's just learning to talk and he's walking about now, things like that. So and you have to set an example. But like normally
Yeah.
when I'm out on my own, if I'm crossing the street, I'll jump in between cars and I'll jump in front of cars just to make my way because I can't be bothered standing at the crossing waiting. But I'll do the same when the three of us are out together and his mother keeps having to tell me, look, you can't just be jumping in front of cars in front of our son because he's gonna learn to do that, and if he one day if he
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that,
that's
I
right.
think that yeah, so that's like one thing I try to stay self-conscious of, but
Yeah, I heard that people just for kids, like, they just change because of them. Like, I heard that. How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 23.
23. Oh, you're younger than me, actually.
Yeah, 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 just
I'm
turned
I'm
23.
I'm 28, actually. Yeah, I don't know
uh,
if I tell you.
Nice.
I
Good
mean,
age.
I look like a kid, I know, but yeah.
I know in your picture you do look a lot younger, but that will bode for you. That'll bode for you well in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I mean that benefits me right now. I mean, like, cops misunderstood like that I was like underage or something, and I just
Yeah.
like kind of played it that way, so I get away with like when I was spraying or doing some shit, nothing much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really mind it, but sometimes it just gets like this guy tattoo store told me to come back when I'm 18.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
No, that's all right.
Like but that, yeah, the rage state. I mean, I can fight and go very far. I mean, verbal or physical fights are just like going too far sometimes, and that can, well, uh, that's kind of what you need sometimes, and you can't help it.
Yeah, impulsive rage is one of these things. I just try and I don't put myself in situations where it's gonna happen or where I feel like it's
Mm.
gonna happen as well because I am very like neurotic, paranoid about people. So like if I
Yeah,
think
I know, I
something has a
know, I
chance of
know.
kicking off, I'll
Suspicious,
just
maybe.
yeah, because I really, to be honest, like I can't be bothered getting in trouble anymore. So,
Well,
uh,
I was in situations like, but my fear like completely like, there's absence of it when it comes to situations. When there was a guy that was trying to roll with the gun, and he was on a girl, my girl, that point, and I went out like with nothing on my hands and just like was screaming, basically, go on me if you can, like go on me like a fool. And it could be dangerous moment because I was in that adrenaline state and the rage state, so I wasn't thinking anything. I feel like a very much power at the moment.
yeah, yeah, it's almost like being in a godlike state.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know, amazing, but it can lead to some things. I mean, I didn't know really when I was younger, especially when I was teen, or getting like a lot of fights, and I got expelled from school even. But right now I'm pretty much I learned a lot, like you know.
Yeah, it's always better. I think it's better as well. I mean, for anyone, especially people with ASPD, is to like
SPD
to
and
get it out of your system earlier.
like ASPD and autism, like that's just with social situations, and that's kind of just you know, that's too much of yeah, that you don't understand the social norms and you hate the social rules you in the same time. So
Yeah, I don't. In fact, this happened yesterday. There was a co-worker. I was working with someone, and he can talk for England. You know, you just talk about anything, and he started telling me this story about when his fiance was pregnant, and because of the way he was telling the story and like things he was saying, I could tell it was leading up to a point where he was going to tell me that his fiance like lost the baby, like the baby died prematurely. And
mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, so, like, in my head, I was thinking, oh, I really can't be bothered. I don't even really fake empathy at the best of times, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I just really couldn't be bothered, even like trying to like pretend that
Uh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
our
yeah,
own sort of
I get
emotional
it.
response.
I was highly, I wasn't even, I wasn't even aware, like, I wasn't even aware of what I was doing sometimes to people. Like, I wasn't aware of their feelings, because
Yeah,
I mean, I could tell that they were concerned or something, but actually, what they felt was terrible fear or something when I was joking around with them or doing something, you know, where they consider that abusive. But I didn't know at the time even that degree of it, you know.
yeah. There's one key experience that I don't remember this happening, but I know that it did because someone told me about my baby's mother again. As I was researching ASPD and I was like looking into myself and I was writing this diagnostic paper to give to the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
I was always like, because my baby's mother knows me better than anyone else, so I was always ringing her, going, "Oh, has there ever been a time where you've thought, oh, he's a bit like this or a bit like that?" And I was looking for like examples of behaviour, and I rang her up one afternoon and I said, "Hey, have you ever noticed a time where like my emotional reaction to something just seemed like way off the board, but like I was completely oblivious to it?" And she said, yeah, there was one moment a best friend had died. This was 2 or 3 years ago now. I think maybe over 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and my baby's mother, my best friend, had died, and there was one like day where she was like crying about it. I think it was like a week or so after she'd heard the news. And the thing is with me is that I can't stand when people cry in front of me.
Yeah, I either get
It
annoyed.
boils my I feel like my skin goes all tingly and my heart rate goes up and I just get so angry. And so she starts crying in front of me, and we were together at the time. And
Yeah.
she said you just screamed at me for like a minute, and then because we were in the kitchen. I think she said I was putting shopping away in the kitchen and she was helping me, but then she started getting upset thinking about this friend's death, and she starts crying and she said to me, so I started crying, and you just like blew up at me like just out of nowhere and you screamed at me, and then you just walked in. She said I just walked into the living room and just sat down and watched TV like nothing had happened. Uh, and
Well,
I went,
yeah.
I thought about it and I went, I said, I don't remember that happening at all. I said, but that does sound like me. So, and I told the nurse, and I realised, I was like, that's a pretty, like, psychopathic thing to do.
Yeah,
And
can be. Yeah, I
yeah,
understand. People can annoy me when they cry. Like I and like, or I don't feel anything. Like it's
yeah,
either that or
yeah.
that.
It's like it's like to me, it's like you're trying to make me like to me, it's almost like they're trying to bring me down, even though like they can't. And I'm thinking to myself like, why do you want like why are you trying to make me sad just because you're sad and you know I'm not going to feel that
Yeah,
way,
I'm
so you're
sometimes
just
like
trying to
get over
manipulate
it.
me.
Like I'm sometimes get over it and such as I'm trying not to be like that anymore. Like because I know stuff that I know. Cognitive empathy is what I learned, but
Yeah,
it's just like sometimes I'm like if they too much shit like shitting about something. I'm like, okay, get over it. It's just like too emotional. It's just too emotional for me.
yeah. I'll remove myself out of the way. And I was talking to my baby's mother about this the other day, and she said, because she said the thing with our she said the thing with our relationship when we were together, it's like she said, oh, it was great because I was with like this like handsome young guy, and you could be really like nice, and you really took part in the relationship, but she said there's just moments where like you're just completely like she said you've got a swinging brick where your heart is supposed to be. She said you've just have like absolutely like no empathy or
But
like
are you
you know
hiding it? Are you hiding sometimes, or sometimes you just like can like what are the other times?
we haven't. I mean, that's the main example that I know of. But the thing is because we're so blasé about it. Like my memory especially is terrible because I used to smoke
Yeah, I know.
weed, so I forget a lot of
I know
things.
how that feels like. Don't
But
worry.
but um but there's been she said there's been quite a few like when her dog died as well. There was not long after we got together. I was out of the house meeting up with a friend, and we were doing we were doing like bits and pieces like cocaine, and then I get a call from a girlfriend, and she's like ringing me up in tears, and she's like, "Oh, the dog was called Rocky," and she's crying, going, "Oh, Rocky's dead, or Rocky's like gonna die." I think the dog was alive, but she could tell he was in like his final moments, and like she's had this dog for like 14 years, and she was going, "Oh, like I need you to come back," and I was like I was like, "Oh, all right," and like on the phone I was
Yeah.
pretending to be all like. Sympathetic, but then as soon as I hung up, I said to my mate, "Oh, it's like, my girlfriend's calling." I was like, the dog's dead, and I've got to go back now." And yeah,
You
I was
can't do
kind of
it for
annoyed
too
because like it
long.
ruined the day out.
You can't like do it for too long, even if it's cognitive empathy. Like you can't do it for too long.
It's because it's exhausting for us. It's
Yeah,
like it physically drains. Well, for me anyway, it like
yeah,
physically
yeah.
drains me, and then I don't have the energy to do anything else for the rest of the day, and it just wipes me out. And like sometimes I'll even like have to sleep afterwards because I'll just go, "Do you know what? I feel like I'm gonna pass out," because the effort is just it's unreal.
Well, I mean, I have many situations, some do not be even mentioned here, but I remember lying something to some guy or something like that, made him cry, like literally, like cry out loud, bad, and I'm like, just staring, and I don't really feel anything, nor I feel I should tell him like the truth. I actually feel I don't know. It's just the kind of seem mean, but it's just simply as it is. But you just kind of like I don't do anything, and I'm just like I kept him in that lie. Actually, just I was just even repeating it time to time to use it, and that was kind of like more, I think, like something. I don't know if it that's related to psychopathy or sociopathy part, but because I had violent moments, but this was like just cold hearted, I think.
Yeah, we all. I mean, we all though. Do you know what I mean? But it's not like done on purpose. In fact, I remember the first time I ever like brought the possibility of ASPD to my
So,
baby's mother because I
just
don't,
a
I don't have.
question, Dorian.
Yeah.
I ask. So, have you told like anyone?
Yeah, so when back earlier this year, because at the very end of last year, I decided to like restart my life, essentially, and I mean I sold all like my clothes, most of my possessions, and I started working out every day, and like completely transforming, and I wanted to become more self-aware, and
Mm-hmm.
like I've always known. I mean, people have always pointed out as well, like, oh, you're a little bit different, and you come across as a little bit different, and
Yeah.
people have had ways of describing it. But
But you say
you,
like no, you all are different. Time like it's more like when they ask me, do you feel did you felt different? I said I felt everyone else was different.
yeah, exactly. It's like everyone else is the alien in the world, and you're the
Yeah,
normal
yeah,
one.
yeah. You
Yeah,
you're normal.
but but yeah, I remember do you know the Dr. Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychologist?
I don't think I know. I know a bunch of them, like, but I.
He was at the centre of like a big debate on the trans issue years ago, and he's quite you can look him up, but he did the him and four other, I think, psychologists and psychotherapists, they came up with this this test that you can do that measures all
Mm,
of the personality traits like opennessness, or conscientiousness, politeness, etc.
yeah.
And it's a test that you can like take for like a small fee. And I looked it up a bit, and a lot of people were like commenting on it and saying like, oh, I did this test and I found out, like, I went to therapy and I found out that I have this
Oh,
and
really?
all of that. So I was like, oh wow. So I thought, well, this is clearly like this might be of a benefit to me.
I'm actually
And
just a ve-
I never thought for a second that psychopathy was even a possibility.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I did the test. I took my time with it. I was like, I'm going to make sure, like, answering these questions, that I take my time, because I want to be like I want to get like the most bold, honest answer possible.
Yeah.
And it was the personality when the results came back from it. They were very abnormal, like very black and white. Like I'm in the
Mm,
like being in the bottom second percentile for compassion, which is basically you just don't feel compassion. And the
yeah.
results themselves weren't surprising, but seeing them all and the way they were laid out, I was like, wow. I thought, this, like, I thought there's got to be like an underlying,
Just
like,
can you
issue there.
can you just type me down that the name of the doctor to not forget because I can't spell.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
I mean,
But
I could spell. I just don't know how to spell it.
yeah, that's fine. But so yeah, I googled I just googled like my test results. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
typed it on Google, like low compassion, low
Yeah.
social politeness, high volatility,
Social politeness,
etc.
like
And
what?
then
Social politeness. It's like what was that? What's that supposed?
oh yeah, like adherence to social norms and laws and things like that.
I mean,
Playing by the rules
can
essentially.
like be a lot polite, but it's like
Yeah, it's not politeness as in like saying please and thank you, but it's
no,
like
no, it's just like more in tone or something like that. It's just like yeah, I've been just out and I'm like very, very open and I just like very polite to people and I don't know. It feels like I mean it is like I'm masking something, but I
yeah,
don't.
like all the fake smiles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just don't know. It's just that, like, I don't know. I do that often.
yeah. I mean, nearly every time you go outside, isn't it? But yeah. So anyway, I googled like all these. I googled my personality trait scores, I guess you'd say. So like, I just typed on Google like low compassion, low social politeness, high volatility, high industriousness, etc., etc. And after looking at multiple like web pages, they were all this thing called ASPD kept coming up, and I never knew what it. I'd never heard of ASPD before. So I went, wow, antisocial personality disorder. I thought, I wonder what that could be.
But
So I
that
googled that, and then well, when I saw that it was the clinical term for a sociopath and a psychopath,
yeah, it was.
I thought that was ridiculous. So I went, what? I said, this can't be real. And but after looking into it and looking at like some like YouTube channels, like Psych to Go and things like that, it started to like sort of click with me, and I went, whoa. I went, okay. So I went to I called my baby's mother, and because she was coming round with my son,
Mm-hmm.
and she came round to the flat with my little boy, and I said to her, I said, hey, I said, I said, do you remember those test results that I sent to you that I did? And she went, yeah. And I said, well, do you know that like these are like all the traits of a psychopath? And I said, I think there's a chance that I might be one. And she looked at me, and I was expecting her to say something like, oh, don't be silly, of course you're not, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But she just looked at me, and like without missing a beat, she just replied straight away, and she went, it wouldn't surprise me, Dorian. And I looked at her and I went, really? And she went, yeah. She said, look at, when like such and such happened. She said, look at when the dog died. She said, you've never been like, she said, you're nice. She said, there's times where you can be like so nice. She said, but then there's other times where you're the most
Yeah,
like
yeah.
callous and cold and like nastiest person and like, but you don't even, it's like, it's not even like you're trying to do it on purpose. It's like that's just the way you are. And I realised that like I couldn't really argue with that, and I was like, she's right. So and then my dad said the same thing as well when I told him about it. I first told him it was the day before my first ever
Wow.
psychological assessments at the hospital. I was at my dad's flat, and he said to me, "Oh, are you doing anything tomorrow?" I said, "Well, actually, I'm going to St Catherine's Hospital." And he went, "Oh, he asked me, he said, is everything okay?" And I said, "Well, I said, I'm not dying or anything like that. I said, but I said, I'm actually going to the mental health, I'm going to the mental health part of the hospital to be assessed." I said, I've been doing some like digging into my own personality, and I said, I think there's a chance that I'm a psychopath. And
Yeah.
and again, like this, just like my baby's mother, he just stared at me for a second, and he went, he said, it doesn't surprise me. He said, I've actually thought of this before. And I
Wow.
said, so I said, excuse me. He said, yeah. He said, I have Googled it before, and he said, and you do have like a lot of the traits
But your
associated with
parents,
psychopathy.
your parents don't have like because there's like possibility like that is genetic. Your parents don't have it.
Well, not my dad. My dad definitely not. Although his brother, the stories that
Uh
he's told me
huh.
about
Uh
his brother comes across as. Well, I mean, his brother's no longer with us. God rest his soul. But my dad had a brother who he overdosed back in 1986, I believe, and his brother was like very aggressive, criminally versatile. Never really showed any remorse for the effects that he
yeah,
had,
more like
his criminal behaviour
sociopath.
had
Yeah.
on the family. So the genetics are there, on like not with my
Possibly.
mum and dad directly, but other members of the family on both sides that I've
Yeah,
heard of.
possibly. My family is like all on the spectrum. I think cluster B. But the interesting thing is like when when my exes called me psychopath, I was thinking, every ex call you psychopath. It's just the thing that you do. But when too many times that happened, when one gave me like I don't know how many like list of why or something like that. I was like, oh, well, you know.
Yeah, because that's the problem with it nowadays is that it just gets sort of thrown about like it's a name to call someone almost. A lot of people they don't realise that psychopathy is like an actual clinical condition as opposed to like just being, something. They always treat it like it's a subculture, if that makes sense. Like it's something that anyone can just be, and like it's not.
It's actually just it's actually condition. It's and
Yeah,
there are a
yeah,
lot of misconceptions. At least like here, it's just so bad, like so bad misconceptions because of movies and everything, and it's just maybe not understanding of a condition. It's just like, well, my mother always called me a narcissist for some reason, but, well, she doesn't really know the terms very well, but she, when I told her possibility, that I didn't want to tell her because she's like a little, borderlining and stuff like that, I'm not sure. When I told her, she was like very, very wasn't surprised, but when I told her something on my mind first time, she was like, I can tell that she was like in very shock and very like then she looked at me with different eyes, and I was like backing off of it because I kept on masking, because I have to mask my tone. I have to mask sometimes my tone of voice, even, and my facial expressions. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I've got there's a bit, yeah. Yeah, I've
yeah,
got to do like social moves, as I call them, social moves. Like there's the empathetic head tilt to the side if someone tells you about something bad they're going through, and like the way you smile, or like especially when like trying to like being in like female company, like the way you smile and like look around the room and things like that. Yeah, life is like almost like it's almost like being on stage, like in a theater, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
act a certain way, and it's all choreographed in your own head
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to get the best out of people.
yeah.
But
Scaring
my
people. Yeah.
my I don't my see I don't speak to my mum or dad anymore, just because that's what's better for me, due to a range of reasons.
Mhm.
But my baby's mother, she sees my mum occasionally from time to time, and she said to me, she said, "Oh, I saw your mum not long ago, and I thought about telling her because I haven't seen my mum in about a year." And my baby's mother said, "Oh, I thought about telling your mother that we found out you're a sociopath." But they said, "Oh, but I didn't." But she always said it as if like in a way that I was supposed to be like thankful for that. And I just turned to her and I said, "Look," I said, I said, "I honestly don't really care who knows. Like it's not anything like, oh, you can't know that about me." Do you know what I mean? I said, "I don't really care if she knows or not." She said, "It doesn't make one damn bit of
Doesn't
difference."
make any difference, right? It's just yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean, it is what
feel
it is at
you
the end of the
feel
day.
you feel entitled, or that's because I have NPD as well. I'm mixing symptoms sometimes. Like
Yeah, nah, but my baby's mother, actually, I don't have any NPD, but I am like overtly narcissistic to a degree, and
there is subtypes to ASPD actually, if you heard.
oh, sorry, Kevin, could you repeat that again,
Oh
please?
yeah, subtypes of ASPD, if you heard of it.
Yeah,
So there's narcissistic type actually. So you might be just a narcissistic type.
yeah, no, I do have a very, that was one other thing my baby's mother pointed out. She said, she said, "I've always thought that about you." She said, "You really are, like, you do think that you, that, that you're better than everyone," I think she said. But it was my dad who really hit the nail on the head with that one. My dad said to me, and I'll never forget it, but my dad said to me, he said, he said, "You act like you're the only person who deserves to be thought of." And when he said that to me, I thought it was like ridiculous. But then I told my baby's mother, I said, "Do you know what my dad said to me?" And I told her, and she went, "No." He said, "You're absolutely right." He said, she said, "You don't consider anyone else's like wants, needs, feelings." and you just, it's all about you. Like, you've got to get what you want, and then as long as
Yeah.
you've got that, you're happy. And when she put it like that, I thought again. I realised, I was like, yeah, actually, I was like, that is kind of like me. And but now, since like being quote unquote diagnosed, like now I'm more aware of like the severity of like certain behaviours, and like now I'm like,
But you can like you have a selective uh, circle or selective empathy or something like that, because you could care about your son and stuff.
yeah, no, I can. Yeah, I care about my son, like definitely 100%, and like I do have moments where I'm with him, and I feel like happiness,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I wouldn't say I have empathy though. No, I feel like I feel like if I had empathy, I'd truly know it for 100% sure.
Like
But I
emotional
don't.
empathy, I'm not actually sure, but they said you have
Cognitive
selective empathy.
empathy. I definitely have cognitive empathy. Like, I have a logical understanding of like how
Yes,
people feel, but I just don't feel it. I have no emotional
I don't
empathy. So
feel in my
if you
body.
feel happy, it's not going to make me feel happy, and if you feel sad, it's not going to make me feel sad. And
I have like
uh,
this empath friend, like empath or whatever. She's just totally opposite, and we talk a lot because she knows it, and because she wants to know a lot. She has a boyfriend on the spectrum and wants to know the mind of it. And she's just, I just think you're so naive. You're so. When I heard first word, I know that he's manipulating or whatever, and she's just believing everything. I'm just like thinking like stupid. Like I think like more like him. I understand more him, and then I can understand her. But she's like telling me the stuff about this side. She's different completely. She's always thinking about others,
yeah,
and we kind of like can tell each other some stuff. And I try to teach her to think more logically.
yeah, we're very like, that's another thing with that I found out as I was looking up like ASPD and like psychopathies, that I was watching something and it was saying that they're only driven by logic, and that's exactly me. I'm a purely logical
Purely
creature.
logical, yeah.
It's like, what's best for me, what to do, A or B.
But
There's
it's
no
all
like emotional
self-centered.
drive
It's all
behind any
self-centered, anyways.
actions.
I mean, it's at the end, even if you do something like for someone, it ends up being self-centered. And like, can you actually? I heard that the psychopaths are better at functioning and masking and even expressing emotions that are fake actually and blending in and not even being recognized ever. And it's like kinda they are better at functioning simply because they are not impulsive, and that masking social and just they can like they can totally manipulate with that kind of like reactions, I think, better. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of further on the spectrum, I guess. At the end, I call it a spectrum because it's just like I also researched a lot about cluster B, and at the end, I will just call it a spectrum. And you further on, the further you are a psychopath. But
yeah.
uh,
To me, the way I understand it is that you've got clinical psychopathy, and then you've got antisocial personality disorder, and clinical psychopathy is just clinical psychopathy, which
yeah,
is like, people born with the brain with like the shrunken amygdala and the limited
they
activity in
are
the prefrontal
born.
cortex.
I
But then
think they're born
people with ASPD are on a spectrum of like
on the
sociopathic to
spectrum.
psychopathic
Yes,
behaviors.
yes, yes, yes. But they're like four times less it's to be full psychopath than sociopath, for example.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, I don't mind what anyone would say, but you know, I'm fine with either or label, to be honest. I just use the label, I use the term psychopath
I used
simply
to.
because it's
It
the
doesn't
most well
matter.
known.
It doesn't really matter because it's same. I mean, I use term psychopathy for even borderlines because they are in a way, you know.
Yeah, if you're more are than than not, then yeah, that
I
makes
mean,
total sense.
that's just borderline spectrum. Like it's a spectrum. If you look at it, like at one end and the other is just they are less psychopathic, the least psychopathic. One specialist even told that like narcissistic personality disorder is just the worst form of borderline. So, like, and by that logic is just like this is just worse kind of than narcissistic, and then it's just like whole spectrum is like mixing the traits and having all the traits, but you all have like you definitely have on one the most traits and um, or symptoms, so they will call it one of them. But well, they call mine. I was first diagnosed like with NPD, but by therapist, and then I went to psychiatrist for something. Well, for some other full reason, I wanted some help for disability. It doesn't matter. So I was fully honest. I was just there to get my what I wanted to get. You know, it doesn't matter really, and it's end up with that diagnosis, and I'm like, oh well, you know, I didn't know who to believe, but I just accepted both conditions then.
Yeah, yeah, right. See, I didn't go for help necessarily. Like I said to you, I got offered cognitive behavioral therapy, and I turned
Yeah,
it
that's
down
like
because I didn't see, because I honestly I don't
the
see it like me having a problem.
and
I just
that's so common. SPD and PD
I
people
don't.
don't see
It's
a
just.
problem.
I just see it as more like being different, or even like sometimes it's kind of like a superpower. You know, like where other
Yeah,
people in situations their emotions would weigh them down. Mine, I wouldn't have that problem. So
but you
surely
can
doesn't that mean I'm better off?
can you like
And
have a low mood? That's different. Like
a low mood.
yeah.
No, do you mean like sadness?
I mean no, it's like your mood is not quite there. It
Yeah, like you're a blank slate. Yeah, no, I do.
It's
And
like
do you
I'm
know
going to
what? I think.
avoid to a nothingness rather than sadness. It's more like nothingness, boredom, or something like that.
Yeah. It's like
Irritation.
it's like being like an empty chalkboard. Like there's just nothing there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And do you know what people?
stimulation. Then you need stimulation or something.
Yeah. But people who are like very, because like my baby's mother, it was the main reason we think as well why our relationship didn't work out, because she is extremely empathetic,
Oh,
and she said to me not long ago, we were talking
I'm not
about it.
surprised because usually
Yeah,
they
well,
attract.
exactly. It's just like where she was like dead upset because her best friend died. You know, she would need a boyfriend who's
Yeah,
like
they are.
empathetic as well,
We
not
are
some
attract
like,
opposite.
not some cold, callous psychopath who's just gonna get angry and shout at her and then just ignore her like nothing's happened. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
that completely. But we get on well now though, and she does. And she's very understanding. She says, like, I get it, you're different, but she says, I know you'd never, like, hit, I was never, like, abusive, like, I'd never, like, hit her or anything like
Well,
that.
I never
But,
was very physically abusive. It's just that I was abusive after I was told I was abusive, and after that I really tried in my relationships to change because I didn't do that things purposely because
yeah,
I didn't
exactly,
really
it's just
feel
the
it.
way that, yeah, it's just the way that you are. But a baby's mother said to me about the whole empty personality thing, because she's such an empath. She picks up on how other people feel, and In fact, that's how I was telling her about a girl in work that I was talking to. This was a few weeks ago. There was a nice girl my age in work, and we started talking, and I'm working the charm, and she's loving it. But it, this girl in work, she just randomly turned round to me in the middle of working, and she asked me, she said, "Do you have any feelings?" And yeah, so I mean, no introduction whatsoever. So I turned, I was like, wow, I was like, how do I answer that? And you know what I mean? It really
It's
caught me off guard.
complicated. It's
Yeah, she
complicated.
just randomly said to me, "Oh, do you have any feelings?" And I turned to her, and I said, the answer I gave at the time was, I said, "Oh yeah, of course I have loads of feelings," because
Yeah.
because I thought, I was like, well, like feelings are sort of like a commodity, aren't they? But like,
But feelings are like I mean feelings. You got some feelings, right? You got
I mean,
feelings.
yeah, but she, I mean, I can do it given the right circumstances. But this girl in work says to me, she asked me, she goes, "Do you have any feelings?" Like dead inquisitively as well. And so I
But
told her, I
yeah.
said, "Yeah, of course I have loads." And she said, and this girl, she just turned to me and she said, "Well," she said, because I said to her, "Why do you ask that?" And she said to me, "Well," she said, "I've been speaking to you for 3 days. And normally, when I meet someone, I can instantly tell how they're feeling and what and she said I'm very empathetic, and she said, but I've been talking to you for 3 days, and I cannot get a read on you, and it's bugging me, like it's really annoying me,
Yeah.
and I just laughed it off, and I made a joke
I
about it, and
all I pick
swept it under the
all I
rug.
can pick on you is just when you laugh. I know you like satisfied. Like damn it, I'm better at this.
Yeah, well, I sort of just brushed it under the carpet, and then said I met up with my baby's mother to see my son, and I said to her, I said, "God," I said, "You know, this girl in work just like turned around to me and asked me whether I have any feelings," and she said that she can like almost tell that like there's something not right with me, but she can't tell what, and she said, and
But
the baby's
yeah,
mother.
just to mention that feelings are not same as empathy. Like
Yeah, there's supposed to be a difference between feelings and emotions, isn't there? That doesn't.
emotions are something like that brain does, and it happens like within a seconds. You can be unaware of it. Feelings are something that like longer lasting. And moods are
Right.
the higher form of that, but I don't even know. It's something like that. It's just feelings that you can get feelings, but they don't last that long usually, and you don't have empathy, and which is different. You have feelings, but you don't have empathy, and feelings are kind of different, if I can say. Intensity of raging sometimes, or reduced fear or something.
Right. But
In
yeah, so
dangerous situations, like anxiety is a separate condition. It usually happens that doubled more. That is chances that if you have ASPD to actually have anxiety as well. But that's like a separate thing, and I'm actually not very good at understanding, especially similar feelings. I don't get really much fear in dangerous situations. I don't get like fear in those situations where I should, I guess.
yeah,
But anxiety, I don't know if I think that's like different thing. Might be, you know, um, anxiety. It's just like especially if you, I don't know, anxiety. I wasn't really officially diagnosed, but I could assume that sometimes. It's just wonder, but I'm very bad at like expressing. Even if I feel like I'm very bad at expressing what I feel, or I don't express what I feel, or I don't know how how to name it or something.
yeah. I have had in the past. I've had bouts. I'd say bouts of anxiety, and normally any negative emotion that I have felt in the past it's been like it's been very short but
Short
very
period.
strong,
Yeah, I get it.
small, powerful bursts of it. But yeah, what was the one thing I was going to say was about the girl at work who like clearly picked up something wasn't right with me. I told my baby's mother about it, and she said, yeah. She said, you know, when we're sat, so whenever I'm sat in a room with you, she said it's almost like you're not there. It's like being sat in the room with a ghost.
Yeah,
Like it's
bro.
like, even though, like she said, it can be like me, you, and our son sat down in the flat, but it just feels like there's two people there and you're not there. And I thought, to be honest, when I heard her say that, I thought, wow, that's kind of cool.
That's
But
kind of cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
get it.
do you know what the other thing that she said, and I think there should be like more research done into this, but people like, and I think it really goes on a case by case basis, but people say that they go, oh, you can tell someone's a psychopath by their eyes. You go, oh, you look into their eyes and you can
Yeah.
just tell. And
I don't know if that's
it,
real, but
it's not.
I mean, the
I think
psychopathic there.
I think there's some truth to it to a degree in some cases. There is one photo of me and my baby's mother when we first got
Uh
together,
huh.
and that I think one of her friends took it, and we were at a party or something, and in this photo, like she took me and the baby's mother, you know, my girlfriend at the time, we had this
Yeah.
photo of me and her taken, and her best mate took it on a phone, and then she showed us the photo, like you can see like my eyes are just almost like completely black and staring directly into the camera.
Oh, I
And
get. Since I was.
this was years ago, and at the time, the baby's mother, she looked at it and she went, "Oh, God, she went, look at your eyes there." She said, "It looks like you look absolutely dead inside," and we just
Oh,
laughed
well,
about
very
it.
weird thing is that since I was 13 years old, I had no idea about anything, but I called myself, I have black eye moment, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
very, very strange that I called it same name because I've been told, like, I asked, do I have this black, like, yes, your eyes just, my eyes aren't dark, but they just darken and like go different a bit, so like if that like you have no feelings but you're not there, but you're there actually, you're present,
yeah,
just you have no feelings at the moment or
yeah.
whatever, you detach from thinking and emotional processing.
No, yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think there's moments where you can see our true
Yeah,
nature, where it's not all the time,
it's not
but
all the
there's
time.
moments where it just comes out. And I have had like the odd, I mean, very occasionally, I've had people say like, oh, like you know, like they mentioned the unflinching eye contact. My dad was one to say it, and my dad said he said sometimes I don't like talking to you because you always just like look into people's eyes when you're talking to them, and it just
Yeah,
feels
that
like you're
no
staring
breaking eye
straight through them.
contact. No breaking eye contact makes people uncomfortable, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, normal people, yeah, but like for us, like
Yeah, I
all
know.
it's just not, it's not even like a thing to me. It's just what we do because I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you. So yeah,
Yeah, I
more
didn't know that.
generally,
I didn't know
obviously,
that. But they were like, why are you
yeah,
staring constantly? Like, I don't know, like why I'm staring. Like, I don't
yeah,
stare.
yeah,
I just look at you.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I always do it with strangers on the street. I can't help it. It's like I walk past someone, I just immediately like lock eyes with them, and it happens pretty much all the time. Yeah, every time I
If
go out.
somebody looks at me, I look straight back, and they up stop. Like I have no problem with that. I don't know. I just don't know. It's kind of a lot of things that I learned that were like that I was like, that's even there. Like I don't, I simply didn't know bunch of things,
Mm.
and that's so interesting. Actually, I love to talk actually on people with on spectrum because I can relate and I can be more myself. So
Yeah,
so
that's the. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing because I don't have any friends currently at the moment, but that's the way that I like it because at any time where I have tried, and that was another thing as well. Like growing up in when I was in school, I
Attachment
could have
problems.
friends because you sort of have to in a way, but like past the age of 18, I didn't have any like friends, and because it just became sort of like even the thought of having friends to me is like physically like exhausting to me,
I
like
didn't
being
really make friends for the sake of friends, but I was making it because I wanted them, like I wanted more of a supply, or something like
yeah,
that.
that, yeah, because
To
you're
being
because you're
popular and
NPD, so you
stuff.
need that narc supply, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, you
as I
get,
don't have that. I'm narcissistic, but I'm not. I
yeah,
wouldn't say I'm not a full blown narcissist. I don't have NPD, so
yeah,
I
yeah. I
don't
get
need
it.
that supply. I just have this enormously grandiose sense of self and this
I
like
get it. I get
arrogant
it.
confidence.
That I happen to be like some days like in my stage like is ASPD stage, some days it goes to NPD, it switches, or in a day even it more symptoms get into some, some of the condition, especially if I'm talking with someone like who is into similar stuff, and I just get into it, I just get full stage of it because I can just fully relax there. And it's entertaining to actually talk and not think about masking or doing stuff like that. Yeah, like you must
Yeah,
do
there was.
stuff.
Do you know what? There was one guy. I had a best friend when I was like in my teenage years, and I got to know it. Like I knew her dad quite well, and at the time I was completely unaware. But now looking back on it, this best mate of mine, her dad, I can tell you now for a fact, he's a clinical psychopath, and like I remember like my mate used to tell me like oh she didn't really like her dad, and like his family didn't really like him. They said oh he's just really selfish and this and that, but I used to get on great with him. Like I used to get on like a house on
Yeah,
fire,
yeah.
and you know what I mean, and.
I
And
got a
we
lot
used
of
to joke
SPD
about it.
friends.
My best mate used to say to me, "Oh, I hate the way you get on with my dad." And it's like you just bounce off each other, and she always used to joke saying, "Oh, she used to like take the mick, saying like, oh, it's because you're both like really autistic and all that." And I used to, and she was sort of right in the sense that we both had something that was similar, but
Yeah,
we just didn't
finally.
realize that it was psychopathy. And but yeah,
That's kind of funny, but
yeah,
also,
yeah. No, he was all right, you know. But no, I just I do prefer to I keep to myself, but at the same time, I do want to because I'm a Christian, and not just because I'm a Christian, but I want to find the girl that I'm going to marry. I do want to be married, and
yeah, yeah,
like so, I, it's hard because you know if you want to look for a wife, it's better to have more friends to meet more people, but at the
yeah.
same time, like
You
friends to
don't
me,
know.
I can't keep a friendship with someone or someone normal at least because it
But
just
if you
gets too
find
I get too
somebody
fed up and
on,
exhausted.
I tried because I always attract empaths or something like that. This previous I tried with somebody on the spectrum. Well, first I tried with BPD. That didn't work because they are just so unstable.
Yeah, I know, big fat no no for me. I would
Yeah,
never do that. But I've definitely that is one thing I've thought since I received my I say it's a verbal diagnosis. But like since I found out from the nurse, like the news, I thought that was one thing I thought to myself. I thought, well, how am I going to go about like dating now? Because you know, like I thought my rule is that if I'll go out with a girl like a couple of times, and if it's going well, I'd maybe say on the third or the fourth date, I'd say, look, you know, I really like you. You know, I'm not interested in wasting my time, and I want to let you know that, you know, this is, you know, this is what I've got. I've got ASPD and this, that, and the other, and just being honest about it. But it's not something that you'd open with.
No, you have to be careful with that actually. I heard from lots of people because of this, they don't really get it, and I
Yeah,
I mean, you always get a girl like charming it and if you want to, but that won't last long if because you will drop your mask at some point, and you have to be like maybe to tell and just so they can be understanding, or you find somebody with SPD, I don't know, so maybe you match perfectly.
that's what I think my best option is. To be honest, I was thinking about that
I had
not
most
long
fun
ago.
with
And I think
somebody.
the only type of relationship that would work for me is if I had a girlfriend who also had ASPD, because then
Yes,
there's an understanding there.
I tried. They were on spectrum, like in between, like something SPD, NPD, but it was good, like because we just so matching in this. When talking, it's just entertaining and fun, and with fun things together, and just
Yeah,
can do with them. It's just that they're the same, and they don't mind too much. So they kind of more works than any other, they like normies or anyone.
yeah, they say, oh, 100% exactly.
So yeah, but maybe just searching for somebody on that, trying that.
Yeah, I think I am. I think that's the only type of relationship that would work out for me.
Yeah.
But in fact, I had a girl. This was months ago, and she was saying like, because again, like being a psycho is now a trend. Like that's that whole thing started amongst girls. When that film Suicide Squad came out, and
Yeah, yeah.
every girl under the sun thought they were Harley Quinn. Ever since that, it's like it's become a cutesy little thing to be a psycho to girls.
Yeah,
And
I get so many obsessed with
it's just
me.
it's not it's just like flat out like it's the mark of a moron. Do you know what I mean? Like it really is like a stupid. Again, it's like people think it's like a little cutesy thing that anyone can be, and it's like, well, no. Like, do
I
you even
mean,
know what you're
I
saying?
don't really know, but they more get attracted to my condition than they do to me, but they obsess with it and they have to clingy like, and that can be bothering. It's just get away from me a little.
Yeah. See, I would like, uh, mm, yeah. See, clingy, but like not too clingy. It's very particular for me. But
It's or they get emotional. I'm like fine, but just not too much of it. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Giving it in little bit by bit, little increments. But definitely, I couldn't. I definitely wouldn't be with an empath again because it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't
No,
work
no.
for a
I
long
tried.
time.
I tried. It's just I worked at the beginning, I think, but it's they have completely different minds. As I talk to this ex, that's my friend now, but it's complete opposite mind. They don't like. I was so surprised, like to figure out a lot of things from them, like like I didn't even know that mind can be so different. Mindset is this completely different.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too exhausting, isn't it? But
Yeah, it is like I get easily bored, and like I don't know, it's just, I mean, I'm trying right now where I have a bunch of things, like trying not to be arrogant, or trying not to feel entitled too much, or like remember to say like thank you. So I was like to this friend, I so improved. I didn't know I was completely entitled 10 years ago, and they were like you are actually right now. I got your gift and you had no reaction, no whatsoever thank you or anything. You were just like, oh, cool, okay, nothing.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're like with everything though. And yeah, we come across as off, don't we? But yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely, and a nice, cute girl with psychopathic tendencies started doing me nicely, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, it's been an hour and a quarter now. I have to get to work
Oh yeah.
nearing up soonish. And shall we call it here for now?
Yeah, sure. Um,
Yeah. And, so
I
what are you? Is this because you understood that you said you wanted to start like a channel with doing multiple things like this? So what plans for the future have you got in regards to the podcast?
Well, I do have actually a lot of things that like different. You can just talk, or you can do questioning, or anything like breaking misconceptions, or just talking about the stuff. That it can be different kinds of videos, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why don't we do a thing now where we say like if anyone's got any questions about like you or myself, they drop them below, and I'll be happy to come back on and answer any questions that the
I
world may
actually
have.
somebody asked some questions, which is very cool. Somebody made a questionnaire, and
All right.
like you could be answering to. I think I actually found it somewhere, but I wasn't very or very like. I need to make that video,
Okay.
because actually I wasn't long. I was just very short when I answer, and I really don't know where I should stop answering, because some stuff I know like you can say all the stuff, and I was like to my normie friend, can you edit this, because I really don't know where to should stop saying stuff, because when I say stuff, then I can get honest pretty, and just because, and I don't know, like I don't sense too much if that's wrong or not.
All right then. We'll communicate on it further. But it's been a pleasure.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, definitely very interesting. Thanks for having me on, Kevin.
yeah, thank you too. Thank you for making time.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll talk soon.
Okay, talk to you soon then, Dorian.
All right. Bye.
Bye.